Let's get into some shite. Hi, folks. Welcome to Apocalyptic. I'm Rick. I'm going to be sitting right here in this chair talking to you for the next few minutes. How you doing? How you feeling? How's your week been? How are things happening for you? Spring kicked in finally. You enjoying things? You got to clean. You got to do things you don't... See, that's the problem with spring. When spring happens, it's just like you got to work. It's time to work. You got to get up. You got to clean things, paint things, make things... work that didn't work all throughout the winter time. You got to plant things. You got to grow things. Got to get out and till the soil and put gardens in and make your food. I hope you do that. Some people do that. Not everybody does that. I mean, if you can just go all the time to the grocery store and get it, that's cool. But I don't know. There are some rewards with growing your own food, I suppose. Not my favorite thing to do. Well, I've told the story before. Just growing up, I was forced to do it. Didn't want to do it. So now I don't want to do it at all because I can make my own decisions. No, my grandfather can't come here and tell me to get out there and plant in the garden. I would do it, though, if he came and told me. Today on this show, first of all, let's get a couple things out of the way. I just want to, the listener line. I always say the listener line in case you need it for there. Just something, at some point, you're going to be sitting there going, you know what? I should call the listener line. 678-348-0008. It's only there for you. If you just want to say something, if you want to program the show, if you just want to give me your opinion on something, you want to tell me something that happened to you, if you just want to say hi, I don't care. All of that is good. It's just there for you, and you can text it as well. If you don't want to mess with that and go the traditional route, email rick@apocalyptic.com. You could do that. And say the same things if you want to. And also, I'm only on a few social media things. Instagram, I try to keep up with Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So I'm always surprised that YouTube videos do pretty good. They're not even videos. It's just this on YouTube, this sound on YouTube. Yet people still seem to watch it, listen to it. Hi, YouTube people. Thank you for listening. And that's about it. I just got over the flu, told you last week, and I'm still moving a little slow, but doing so much better. I never knew that the flu lasted this long and can affect you on so many levels for so long. They say that the fever could just go on for weeks, and that's what's happening to me. During the day, not as much. At night, God, the night sweats, man. Waking up with the night sweats is awful. Need my own separate bed. Need a water bed. I actually have a water bed now. So that's a thing. And just getting back in together. Eating better, though. Doing that. That's a good thing. That's the thing. Did I mention that? I believe I did. That's the thing that came out of this whole thing that I think is positive. And I just came to a point where I just kind of looked at what was going on. And I was just like, I got to take better care of myself. I got to take care. I'm not 20 anymore. I can't eat like a 20-year-old man. At 60, almost 61, I can't do that anymore. So I'm going to quit. And I am quitting. I've been eating so much better. Lost a lot of weight. Going to keep on that track. Still, just be me. I'll be me. You can enjoy anything you want at any time you want. Just do it in moderation. That's the key. And that's not what I'm good at all. I wanted to tell a story today. I mentioned it last week. I want to talk about how I almost joined a cult. Yes, I almost did. Only one time, though, I believe. I don't know what the characteristics, the traits are of people who are attracted to cults. I don't know. I've seen a lot of film about people who end up going to cults and not being able to get out and they're scary. I never felt I was that person. Never thought I was the kind of person who would get into that. And I still don't think that I am. And let me kind of clarify the story I'm going to tell you. The group that I almost joined, I did join for a short time. Very short. I don't know. I think you could probably say they're a cult. I don't know if they are exactly a cult. I think they might have been pre-cult. I think they were on their way to becoming a cult. I tried to look them up. I cannot remember the name anymore, anything about them. So I have no idea if they still exist. I'm going to say no. I'm going to guess they don't exist anymore. But I'm kind of curious what happened between the time that I went there and the time that they might have disbanded or whatever. That would have been kind of interesting to know. But anyway, I'll get into that. I should kind of start from the very beginning and talk a little bit about what I was saying about characteristics of people who join a cult. I don't know what that is. I know from the time that I was a child. Now, I've talked about this. I grew up in East Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville. Knoxville was my hometown. Born in Knoxville. Spent a lot of time in Knoxville. So I'm an East Tennessee guy. And grew up, I would say religious. Yeah, religious. So we didn't go to church every week. We couldn't. My mother didn't drive. My dad didn't want to go. My mother didn't drive, and she had 7 kids. And so we had to bum rides wherever we could. Sometimes the pastor would come and give us a lift to church. Sometimes deacons or people or friends would come and give us a ride, and probably hated it, I guess, but they did it, and it was kind of cool. That's my childhood. So going to church, and as I got older, I wanted to be a minister, and so when I was in 6th grade, I actually preached sermons in the church. They let me do that. I think they thought it was really cute, this little kid preaching in the church, and I don't know. That's one of the few things I'd like to go back and undo. But anyway, you can't. And it's fine. I mean, it wasn't a bad experience. It's just like sometimes I feel like it's a waste of experience, and it really wasn't. But, and leading them astray to think this is who I was going to be. They're putting a lot of stock into that and giving me training. Be a junior reverend. But anyway, yeah, that was my experience. And I know when I was growing up, I think I was always looking for stability. And not only that, but passion in religion. So I was always attracted to people who were just confident in their religion and what they believed. And I guess I saw a lot of hypocrisy when I was growing up. And so I didn't like that. And I wanted somebody who I just felt like was authentic in what they believed. And so my first attraction towards a type of church or religion or belief was with the Osmonds, Donnie Marie Osmond. I just thought that their whole family, they were just so strong in the Mormon faith. And I just thought, oh man, there must be something there, because they just seemed like, every public persona of someone is really incorrect. It's just something that you're putting out there. And I'm not saying they weren't faithful or didn't believe, but I just have to, there's flaws. Everybody has flaws. So behind the scene, you don't see that. And so for me, I just saw this public thing where they were just seemed to be so strong in their religion. And I was just like, I need that. I need that community. I need that strength. I need that, just a faith of a very strong faith. That's what I was looking for. So I spent a little bit of time exploring Mormonism, getting into Mormonism. I went to a couple of Mormon churches, and Mormon missionaries came and told me the word and all of that kind of stuff, and didn't work out the way they wanted. And eventually I just kind of moved away from that. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. It just didn't work for me at that time. But I still had that kind of, I was always looking for that really strong foundation. I guess that's what it is. And my early 20s, I'm going to say this would have been 1986, 5 or 6, somewhere around in there, summer. I'm going to go with 86. And I had been I was really active into a lot of different kind of Christian things. I would get a lot of Christian newspapers and bulletins and brochures and updates. And this was way before websites, so everything had to come through the mail. And there was a newspaper that I would get on a regular basis, and I just wish I could remember the name of it. But it was a group from South Carolina, a religious group from South Carolina. And it centered around, so the main guy who wrote the paper and wrote a lot of the articles and stuff was sort of I guess he was the leader of the group. And they had sort of they weren't centered around this, but they really, really were into the teachings of David Wilkerson, who was an American pastor, and that's probably what attracted me to them at that time. I grew up, when I was in high school, my favorite book was called The Cross and the Switchblade, and it was written by David Wilkerson. And David Wilkerson was this, I think, Texas pastor, as I recall, just this kind of backwoods pastor, and he had felt this calling to go to New York and to witness to the gang members, to try to lead them to Jesus. And so he, without any training at all, packed up his car and his bags, and he went to New York City, and he stayed in a hotel, and he would go out to these gang members, and he would tell them the gospel. And several times he was threatened with violence and almost killed. So The Cross and the Switchblade was a book about that experience. And when I was a kid, that was just such a cool thing, because I had the religion, and I was really interested in New York City, and I had this kind of fascination with street gangs, at least from a Hollywood standpoint. And they actually made a film of The Cross and Switchblade starring Pat Boone as David Wilkerson, and the main gang person, Eric Estrada from Chips, who actually saw in real life in Chattanooga one time, just walking down the street. I should have just yelled his gang name out. He would have probably started to rumble. But anyway, and I was just fascinated by that whole world. And so that whole book, that was my, like, almost like my Bible. I used to carry it every day to school when I was a kid. I read it like 5 or 6 times. So David Wilkerson was like a little hero of mine. And one day he came through Knoxville to the big Knoxville Coliseum, where the exact same place I saw Van Halen, by the way. I don't think Dave would have liked that. This was a totally different Dave. But he spoke there, and buses of churches came, and he was supposed to be a prophet. So he spoke with this kind of voice of prophecy and talked about doomsday and how Jesus was going to come and judge us all and probably burn. I'm sure fire was going to be involved. Fire is always involved in judgment. People apparently hate fire and are scared of fire. So Jesus is going to bring a lot of fire, apparently. Anyway, so I went and saw that, and it was great. I taped it with my little tape recorder. I used to listen to it all the time. And David Wilkerson wrote a lot of books during the 60s and 70s that were geared toward hippies. Really, a lot about psychedelics and taking trips, and because the Jesus movement during the 70s was really big. If you were that time, you know. If you weren't from that time, maybe you know a little bit about it. But the whole Jesus movement and Christian rock and all that started during that time. And David Wilkerson apparently was sort of a part of it. The problem is David Wilkerson was against all of that stuff. So he was trying to pull people out of it. And there were a lot of people in the church during that time who were encouraging people to just embrace your own culture and your own society, but you didn't have to do it like other people. And I think that's where the Jesus people came from, and the Jesus movement came from. It was very fascinating. But anyway, so Wilkerson just ended up kind of becoming this screamy prophet, maybe John the Baptist or Isaiah kind of guy, just talking about how God's going to judge America, as prophets really care about America, apparently. And he prophesied a lot about things that were going to happen to America. And apparently this group in South Carolina caught on to this wave. They really liked Dave. They really liked his prophecies. And they kind of echoed a lot of them, and their guy, who was a young guy at the time, I barely remember him. I'm going to put him at maybe early 30s. I was in my early to mid 20s. And I guess he kind of worshipped David Wilkerson, and so all of this stuff I looked at. I liked what I read, and so I just kind of really became fascinated with the group. And I researched the group a little bit, and I found out that they lived on a commune right outside of Charleston, South Carolina, a commune. And I think communes now have a different connotation as they did back then. In the 60s and 70s, communes, especially the 70s, a lot of people, especially hippies, went and lived on communes. They would go and they would share their resources, and now it's just called socialism. And the same people who used to live on communes back then probably hate them now or scream about them now. But it was sharing. People just share resources. You go out and garden and bring the food in. Everybody would go out and work and come pool their money, and that's how they lived. So I just decided that this was something that I wanted to be involved in. And I had some communications back and forth with the group. And finally I said, I think I want to come out and stay with you guys for a little bit. Help your ministry, take part in it. And they thought that was cool. And they said, sure, come on out. So one summer, I packed up my little Datsun B210 and drove to Charleston, South Carolina. My parents were not for it at all. I don't think I'd ever been on my own. I mean, college for sure. But my college was 20 minutes away from my house that I grew up in. So it wasn't like I was far away. So this was going to be really the first time that I'd been far, far away. Drove out. It was kind of a fun experience, kind of a cool feeling. Going to be free, going to be my own self, going to be in charge of my own destiny. With the commune, of course. They're going to tell me what to do. But other than that, it's just me. It's me. So I drove out. I can remember getting into South Carolina and feeling really cool about the fact that I drove all the way out to South Carolina. Got there, met the people, very nice. And all I can remember is there was a house. It was like a little subdivision. So there's a house, a really cool little ranch-style house. And then in the back of the house, this big area where lots of mobile homes, lots of trailers are back there. And they said, just pull your car back there. So I pulled my car back there and got out, met everybody, said hi, and it seemed kind of cool. As I recall, there was dinner that night. Dinner was in a common trailer, kind of a double wide, I guess. And you would go in, and they served everybody, lots of kids running around screaming. And I'm not a social person. As you may know, I'm not good at interacting socially with people, and so I was really uncomfortable just meeting new people. This was a trip that was destined to fail. But I'm just saying, I was instantly kind of intimidated, embarrassed, shy, not wanting to be a part of the group. That's why you join a commune, because you don't want to be a part of the group, right? Something like that. So, but they were very nice people. I never felt uncomfortable. I didn't feel like I shouldn't be there. And then I come back they assign you to a trailer, and I think there might have been 5 other people in the trailer I was in. Don't remember any of them but one guy. Don't remember his name, but we kind of hit it off. We talked a lot about different things, and he said, tomorrow I'll take you around Charleston, and we'll find you a job. Because it was really important to get me working so that I could, put my money in the pot. It's just more income. And the problem is I couldn't find a job in Knoxville. I certainly wasn't going to find a job in Charleston. I was just out of college with a theater major and not a lot of skills that you could put that to work in. Certainly not the kind that they would be interested in me doing, but so I remember applying at a record bar, something like that. I'm pretty sure it was a record bar. at a mall and put in an application. Did a pretty good, that was a good day. Good day's work right there. Put it in an application, see if I could get a job at the record bar, pool my money for the commune. Yeah, I did my part right there. And then I believe at that point, some point just driving around was when I started getting that feeling. That feeling that this is not going to work out. This is just not going to do it for me. But I didn't say anything, and I came back, and I can't remember what happened. They might have had a sing-along or something, had dinner again. Next day, I believe we went out again looking for another job, and at that point, I was done. I was totally done with it. I had already realized this wasn't going to happen. I believe we went to lunch, and no, I'm pretty sure it was dinner. It was at dinner, and they made an announcement that head lice had been discovered from several of the kids. So everybody look out for head lice, because head lice is going to start making the rounds. And I said, I bet you before the head lice makes the rounds, I'll be out of here. And I left the dinner, pretended like I was done. Gonna go back to the mobile home, and I loaded everything up in my car really, really quick before anybody could see me. Packed it all up, and got in my car and left. Didn't look back. That was it. That was my experience with a cult. I didn't have any chance to be indoctrinated. I didn't get any kind of the sexual benefits that sometimes happen with cults. Didn't get any kind of abuse, physical abuse. I was not locked in a basement. I wasn't. I didn't have to command anybody's command loyalty to anybody. I just left and drove back home. And that was my experience with a cult. And I do remember when I got back, I got a couple little emails from the cult leader guy trying to make me feel really guilty about leaving, and finally just said, all right, well, whatever you want to do, fine. That was it. Never heard from him again. The end. And that is how I almost joined a cult. I think I joined. I don't know how you join a cult. They don't have like initiation or anything like that. You just go there, and I did. And then I left. And this is why I don't think it's a cult. I mean, honestly, if I had just said, guys, I don't know. If I had said, I don't think this is for me, I'm ready to go back home, I do think they would have really turned it up and tried to talk me into staying. And I didn't want that. And so I just felt that it was best just to go. Just to say no. But, you got to try things out sometimes in this world. Don't try things out that are going to really bring you harm. But sometimes you just got to try things out and see if it works. And this is one of those things that didn't work. But the memories in my head is vivid as one of my life experiences. It's one of those things that I can kind of look back on as something I just decided to do. And then something I decided in the middle of it that I don't want to do. And that's most of the things in my life. I want to do it, and then I don't want to do it. Okay, that's it. Have you ever joined a cult? You ever had a cult experience? You ever had a cult of personality? Do you remember those guys? I almost said the name. Oh, man. It's terrible losing your memory. The Cult of Personality, great rock band that I'm totally blanking on. I could have told you 5 seconds ago who they were. Oh, maybe longer than that, 15 seconds. But now they're gone. It'll pop in my head soon. Corey Glover is the lead singer. I can tell you that. Can't tell you the band's name. If you were born, if you're raised, if you lived through the 80s, you relate to this, not being able to remember the name of the bands that you really love, not to be able to remember the lyrics or the people. I always said that for me, I would rather get old and die before my heroes do. I saw a video of Duran Duran the other day, and literally just looked like a bunch of dudes that walked out of the senior retirement home. I didn't even know who they were. It was like Duran Duran. These are the girls were like freaking out over Duran Duran when I was young. I'm not young anymore. I'm old. The cult did not give me eternal youth. But I would just love to know what happened to the cult. You know, was there a day that they were just like, all right, I think we've done enough. Let's pack this up and go home. I have no prophecy, no more prophecy to give, or people aren't paying attention, or was there an affair, a scandalous affair that shut them all down? I don't know. I can't imagine that. But what stops something like that? What stops a cult? What stops a commune from operating? You know, I guess they just, maybe the person just one day just like, you know what? I don't believe this anymore. I don't believe it. I gotta quit. I've been lying to myself, been lying to you people. I want to be a Jehovah's Witness from now on. Who knows? I'd like to know, because they had property, they had trailers. And at one point, all that stuff has to be pulled out, moved, thrown away. All the people had to go out and get married, find jobs, be real people. All right. That's my cult story. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm okay today. It didn't scar me at all. I'm good.